Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, Avoid Getting Trashed, Manage Your Online Reputation. I'm your presenter today, and I've been doing marketing for some 30 years and specializing in internet marketing for about the last dozen years. So our agenda today, I'm going to do the presentation all the way through, and then if you have any questions, just put them in the question box on that login panel, and I'll answer them at the end of the presentation. And if you'd like a copy of today's slides, just send us an email and we'll be glad to send them to you. So just a quick note about what our services are. We cover everything from branding, stationery, graphic design. Then on the internet side, we do web development, social media, SEO, and pay-per-click, email, and today we're going to talk about reputation management. If you'd like a complimentary analysis of your marketing, we'd be pleased to do that for you. Just drop me a line, and you can either call or you can send me an email. We'll set a time and we'll do that for you. So bottom line, what we're trying to avoid here is, this business sucks. People make decisions now in a heartbeat. They're doing a search and something turns them off, they're gone. And so you've got to protect your business. It's your online business is a very valuable asset. And even more so, as other tools disappear, your digital footprint is super, super important. So some people say to me, well, the best thing to do with a bad review is just ignore it. Well, that's not a very good strategy, and this image kind of says it all. Sticking your head in the sand isn't going to avoid the tidal wave coming. So reviews are super influential. People check reviews before they buy. They actively are going through reviews, especially if people. Bottom line is that people look to other people like them as the number one referral source. So you've got to look after your reviews. So this is a study done by Nielsen, and it says, phone books are gone. A whopping 85% of consumers find local business information online, where reviews, notice first item, store hours, deals, maps, are just a click away. So reviews are very visible online. So this is an article from Forbes from May 2013, so a few years ago, which is like a lifetime in digital marketing. But the point is, this was really, really totally true today as it was when it was first written. Basically, we have lost control. And what that means is consumers now are in control of how they interact with our brand. And so you don't pass an IQ test to publish reviews or comments or whatever. So you can get trashed quite easily online. It was much harder before the internet. But now with the internet, man, the consumer really is in control. So another study, 80% of people will change their purchasing decision based on a bad online review. This is a scoring system that I found for a hotel group, and they basically encourage guests to submit reviews. And if the hotel property gets a bad rating, they just take you off their listing. That's pretty draconian, but you get the idea that what other people say is super, super important in terms of your business. This study has been done year after year after year, and the first two items almost never change. So what do people trust? They trust recommendations from other people and consumer opinions posted online. So the two top things are all about reviews and comments by other people, more important than any of the other advertising tools that you have available to you. So this is a report that was done by Moz, who are a great service for compiling statistics and information about what's going online. So basically, Google has changed their ranking system based on components that are in Google's algorithm. And the algorithm is simply a mathematical formula to decide who's going to show up on page one. So basically, it if you don't have if you're not looking after your reviews, it's also going to influence your Google ranking. That's the bottom line to all this. Complicated formulas, etc., but reviews are hugely important. So if you have a situation with reputation management, then you've got to get an analysis done. You know, where is it coming from? Is it a single source? How important that source is? What reputation they have online? Then you've got to get busy. You've got to create content and do multiple other actions, which we're going to discuss in detail today. And we will jump into that now. So I'm going to give you 10 action steps that are important to manage your online reputation. So your first step is you've got to manage your website. And your website is the thing that most people start with. So I did a search here for dentist in Seattle, Washington. I'm just skimming down the list. At random, I pick out this Jenny Lee is a dentist, and she has no reviews. Now, that is super dangerous because you get one negative review and 100% of your reviews are negative. So you can't do that. So here's another one that has only one review. And you'll notice high up on the list is Yelp, and we're going to discuss Yelp in a minute here. So here's the example of the one review, and it's a negative review. And it was posted 6 years ago. So either they're so busy they don't care, or they're not being proactive in terms of generating good reviews. So here's another, not to pick on dentists today, but one of the things you can easily add to your website are testimonials. And there's no testimonial page. So here's a site that does have testimonials, so they've done it right. One of my clients. And here's an example of that testimonials page, short little blurbs that people have written about, and it's very easy. You just need to ask for them. You're not going to get them if you don't ask for them. So another important part on your website is your About Us page. So you've got to have, so going from the home page, right on the home page, we've got more reviews. You know, in this particular example, they're in this type across the top. And so you can use reviews in many places on your website. Just doesn't need to be on the testimonial page. Here again, we get into, these are called trust icons down the bottom. And this gives people assurance that you are a trustworthy business. In this example, it's a chiropractor, so you get all these awards or associations they belong to, etc. Also on your drop-down page, you can have multiple different You can have a page about your team, a separate page on testimonials, and so on. So you can have, it's not about just one page. People, when they're searching for somebody, they'll find, say, the service. They're looking for, vaccinations for a cat, and they get to that page and they say, oh yeah, now who are these people? That's the next thing they're going to do. Who are you? So your about page or pages is really, really important, because that's the second thing they're going to check. They find the service that they were looking for. Yes, you do that. Great. Who are you? And then they'll go to the contact page and call you, or just call you right off the phone number that's at the top of the page there. Okay, so let's talk about how to get reviews. Many, many different review sites, and they all have their own little rules, and some of them you pay for, some of them are free, and these give you credibility when they are good, a good percentage of reviews. So this is a study that was done by Nielsen on Yelp. So it's percentage of users who visit Yelp and call, visit, or purchase from a local business. So the this red color here is frequently, the blue color is occasionally. So based on them doing the research, you got 22% who frequently call the business and 42% occasionally. So you got like 2/3 that are based on that visit, and Yelp is just simply a review site. That's all they have. Then on visiting a local site, it's even higher. It's like 90%. And will they purchase? Again, huge. It's again 90%. So you've got to look after your online reputation. So how do you get good reviews? Well, first of all, what you deliver has to be good. There's no covering up lousy service or bad products or massive refunds or any of those things. So if you've got that problem, you've got to solve that first before you try to expand the reviews that you're getting. Okay, second step is good customer service. So you might have a great service or a great product, but you also have that relationship with your customer that you've got to look after. And sometimes, a minor problem can easily be resolved with great customer service. Now you need, customers that are willing to recommend you. And the worst thing you can do is go out and get some fake reviews. We had one client that had gotten a whole bunch of reviews through an automated system, and they only published the 4- and 5-star reviews. Well, nobody's going to believe that. There's no business on the face of the earth that's going to get nothing but 5-star reviews. It's just not the nature of man. It will not happen. So basically, all the effort they put into doing that is blown out of the water, because people in a heartbeat, this is fake. And so you've not only wasted all that time and effort, you now have got a negative consideration about your company. Now, when you're getting reviews and you want to end up with reviews on Yelp or Google Plus, or they need to be active. So, for example, on Yelp in particular, we'll cover that in more detail. And the last part is that you get your customer to actually post a review. So you've got to go through these different steps to get to that final point. And you don't want to be skipping those steps, because you won't end up with a good result. Now, if you check your competition, let's say you're a local dentist or a chiropractor or painting company or whatever, and the average number of reviews that your competitors have, say, is 20 on some site like Yelp or whatever. So if you're now going to start an activity whereby you're going to talk to your customers and ask, if you wouldn't mind giving us a review. Obviously, you've got to deliver good service, so it's completely legitimate. But if you get 20 reviews posted in 1 week, that is very suspect. That's not normal, and so you could end up with a negative listing, or you're not even listed at all, because you've obviously manipulated the results. So slow and steady is the rule. So content marketing. So what is content marketing? So this is from the Content Marketing Institute. Content marketing is a marketing technique of creating and distributing relevant and valuable content to attract, acquire, and engage a clearly defined and understood target audience with the objective of driving profitable customer action. So what that means is marketing has completely changed. The internet has completely changed the way we do marketing. And so by generating good content, a blog is an example, helpful articles, email, what content you post on social media are all examples of good content marketing. And by doing that, you are creating, goodwill for your business, you're providing useful information, and you've got content that you can use in social media and email and so on. So this is kind of like the old days and the new days. Outbound of advertising, cold calling, that kind of activity is not only not working, have you ever seen the Yellow Pages lately? It's also more expensive. What works now, and I love the analogy of the magnet, to draw people in, you have great content on your website. You have really helpful articles in your blog. You could have video content. You could be doing press releases. You could publish ebooks. You can even have free ebooks, and so on. All this is all content. Content, content, content. So bottom line, you want to think like a publisher. And not that you're going to be printing books or something like that. That's not the definition of a publisher that we're looking at here. What we're talking about is that you as a business are generating content. Your website, for example, you got video, blogs, all these different forms of content that you can be creating, and they're all assets that you can use to look after your reputation, to generate new business, to keep old customers happy. So when people do a search, they will search for you and they will check you out. This is page 1 of Google for our agency. So we're on these different sites, LinkedIn and Vimeo, which is a video site, and Twitter and Tumblr, social media sites. They're going to check you out. So the flow in content marketing runs like this. You generate your content, blogs, newsletters, and you can do, you just do it without any specific campaign in mind, or you can have a very specific campaign. From that, you'll generate leads. Leads become prospects. Prospects become sales. And that's the flow of content marketing. So this is a study done by HubSpot. Inbound marketing is also good for business. So in this particular study, 50%, 54% more leads are generated by inbound marketing than traditional paid marketing. 2 times as many marketers say inbound delivers below average cost per lead. So it's cheaper and it's better. All right, so the next one we'll talk about is social media. So social media will provide you brand exposure, what your company's all about, who you service, can also be used for customer support, lead generation, of course, and most of them now have some kind of advertising opportunity. So kind of some top social sites, Facebook, everybody seems to be on Facebook. Instagram, which is fastly catching up to Facebook. Twitter, and Google+. Google+ also, it's a Google property, so it has impact on your search visibility. So when you're creating this example here, we're just talking about Facebook, you want to, a good strategy for social media when you're a small business is pick one social media account that you're really going to look after. In this example, we're talking about Facebook. Then spend a little bit of time on the other ones. So on Facebook, you want to make sure you have a great cover page, your profile is good, and you're constantly creating, good design and good content. You have the option to do advertising and, of course, reviews. So content that you could be publishing on Facebook or, almost all other social media tools. Blog posts. So when you publish a blog, you get to publish it on your website, and you can use it in social media, and you can use it in email. So pictures are always great. Visual, people look at images. You can be publishing facts, plus having a great design. You can have inspirational quotes that are done in the design. You can provide invitations to do activities, attend events, and so on. You can provide tips about how to do something. Bottom line is your content useful to that target audience? Will they engage with it? Will they pass it on? All right, you're going to need some tools to do some research. And a really simple tool is you can search competitors by simply, typing in the name of the competitor. In this particular example, I was doing hotels, and in the San Diego area, and I was checking on the Hilton. And so it lists out all the places where the Hilton is listed. And so, for example, down the bottom, near the bottom, there's a listing called booking.com. Well, you might have a business and you didn't even know about booking.com, and it actually is a very huge site. So you can do a lot of research by checking out your competitors. Look at the first 3 or 4 listings. What directories and so on are they registered on? And that can be a blueprint for things that you should do. So in this particular example, I'm using Google, which is the biggest search engine in Canada and the United States. And it gives me all kinds of information about the competition. So the way Google now is presenting results is and they're really pushing this, is called local search. And local search is different than regular national search. And what they do is they narrow down. So above this map are paid ads, and they're marked as ads. Then you have 3 listings. And then to see more listings, you have to click on more results, which you can see the circle there. So where you want to show up, and this is part of your reputation handling, is to have your search optimization good, so you do show up in when people are doing searches. So I just took this example of Paradise Point, and they are one of the San Diego hotel properties. So at the top here, you see the ads, ad, then the company website, then you start to receive review sites. So TripAdvisor, Expedia, Booking, all of these have reviews, and 4-star, 4-star, 4-star. And then this is Google, and they've got 3.5 stars, and quite a few reviews, 141 reviews. That's quite a few reviews. So to change that number from 3.7% positive to higher, you have to be continually generating new reviews. There's a tool called Moz Local where you can check out the status of your particular site as it applies to, is it correctly listed in Google and other search engines. So you just simply type in the name of your business, your zip code, check my listing, and this is the result that I did for this at random. I just picked this one property, this resort called Paradise Point, not to pick on them, but what I found was they have 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 listings, and they've got 3 different phone numbers. So, and they've got, everybody's got the same address. So, and they got 2 different names. Paradise Point Resort and Spa, one name. Paradise Point Resort and Spa, a destination hotel, another name. And so when you screw up your own, you're sort of shooting yourself in the foot when you don't have your name, address, and phone number consistent throughout all of your website, your directories, your search engines. It has to be the same. There's another site you could use. It's a Yahoo property, also keeping track of your business listings. And another one called Review Tracks. All right, so let's talk about directories. So as we saw in the earlier example, name, address, and phone number is super important. Otherwise, you end up diluting your ability to be displayed correctly. So what you want are citations. And basically what a citation is a mention of your business with your name and address on other web pages, even if there's no link to your website. So they are really important in terms of SEO, search engine optimization. So the more of these you have, typically the better you'll show up in the search results. And so you want to take the time to generate these listings. And I just showed you some services that you can use to help you do that. So other places where you can get citations or listings is, if you belong to a chamber of commerce, they'll hopefully have an online site where they list your business, or some other professional association, online Yellow Pages and other services like that, and so on, all the way down to social media. So in this search tool, this will actually do an analysis of the where you are at in terms of your citations, your directory listings, and it will help you manage, fixing them and adding new ones. So a little bit about local search engines. You want to make sure for sure that you're registered with Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Okay, so let's say you do have some negative criticism. What should you do? Well, Public Relations 101, you need to fill the vacuum. You cannot take the approach, I'm not talking to you, you've done a lousy disfavor to me, I hate you, which is fine for an 11-year-old, but not going to work for a business. You've got to continue to communicate. So bottom line is, nobody expects to have 100% 5-star reviews. In fact, if you do, as I said earlier, people are not going to particularly believe you. It's not possible for any business to satisfy everybody on every day. So if you have some issue and it's important, then you can make it up, give them a refund, give them an exchange, give them a gift certificate, do something, and people will respect that you did take the time to make up. So again, a note about fake reviews. This is an article in CNN Money about Amazon. They are, on the rampage to deal with fake reviews. Okay, let's talk about Yelp. Okay, Yelp is really important for many different kinds of businesses, and they're basically the #1 review service. So here's a search I did for, the best restaurants in Vancouver, and the top ones, again, like Google, they're ads. Then you get into the top 10, and they're listed here. And in this particular industry, the restaurants, very competitive. Look at the number of reviews, 473 reviews, 500 reviews. This one's only got 29 reviews, but it's got a good 4-star rating. So it isn't necessarily, all the reviews that it's not a quantity thing necessarily, it's a quality thing more. So things you need to do with Yelp: make sure you claim your listing, so there's certain content that you can create your profile basically. Then encourage legitimate reviews with active Yelpers. It's no use asking your customers if they're not active on Yelp. If they publish a review, it won't be noticed. And also, there's events you can do with people who are active on Yelp. So this is the event button here. So, if it's appropriate for your business, you could create some kind of event. And also, you can advertise, as the first slide I showed you in Yelp has advertising, as many other sites online have those opportunities. This is a funny story. This is a restaurant. I think they're in California. Anyway, they had troubles with Yelp, and so they just decided they were going to do the opposite. So basically what they said is, if you give us a 1-star review, the lowest review, we'll give you a discount on your meal. And they have used this almost as a advertising campaign, and it actually garnered a lot of public relations for them. And they authentic Tuscan cooking with attitude, also specializing in getting the worst reviews on Yelp. Executive chefs, blah and blah. So it's pretty funny. And I don't particularly recommend that route. It's walking down a slippery slope. All right, so, and the last point here is you want to set up some system that you can keep track of what's going on. So a simple way is you can use Google Alerts. So Google Alerts is free, and basically it's like a reverse search engine. It will give you results based on very specific, it gives you a separate report. So what you want to keep track of is your name, if you own a business, what the business name is. Maybe you have some very specific product names, and you might even want to keep track of a few competitors. So this is how it's set up. You type in your alert, how often you want to get it, and basically create the alert, and Google does the work for you. They send you an email, and you're off to the races. Another very simple thing to do, which is completely free, just do a search on your business name, not the web address, because that will just take you to your website, but your business name. So here I typed in John Doe Enterprises, and believe it or not, there's a lot of John Doe businesses. So anyway, it gives you a list of all the John Doe listings, and you can see if you've got some negative content, what can you do about it? All right, so when you're working on your online reputation, this is not a fast fix. There's no click the button and all your negative reviews would disappear. Bottom line is you want to be creating, quality content on multiple different websites, on a continual basis. And it's a project that will take time. So your takeaways for today are, do some homework. Do you have lots of good listings? Do you have any bad listings? Create a simple plan of action. Just basically what I've covered today is a great plan of action. Then you've got to create the content. A good way to start is add a blog to your website if you don't already have one. Then that blog can be used, to populate on your site. You can use it in social media to generate content. You can use an email. Then you've got to go through a process of doing the citations, registering on your directories, social media, and so on, and of course on the search engines. Then it's a repeating process. It's not something you do once. It's a continual process to manage your online reputation. So I wish you every success in managing your online reputation. And if you'd like a complimentary consultation, don't hesitate to get in touch. And thank you very much. So I will check and see if we do have any questions today. All right, I don't see any questions for today. So thank you all for attending and look forward to seeing you in our next webinar. Bye for now.